So I've just turned up the canvas in Makerfield, and the absolute number of patriots that have turned out is fantastic. It's wonderful to see these new faces, new activists. People are going to go out and canvass, and we're just about to get started. So look, there's even some more over there. Hundreds, maybe even thousands of patriots are here. Keep updated. Makerfield, it's Restore Britain territory, and we're not going anywhere.
For weeks now, Reform UK and their shills in the media, looking at you, Alex Phillips, have had one message for Rupert Lowe. Stand down, get out of the way, don't split the vote. Yes, that Reform. The party that spent months campaigning on Get Starmer Out is now begging Rupert Lowe to keep him in. Because if Labour's Andy Burnham wins this seat, he's back in Parliament. And with 98 of Starmer's own MPs already calling for him to go, Burnham becomes the man to replace him, and potentially the next Prime Minister. And that clip you just saw, well, that's in Makerfield in Wigan. And that's the army of volunteers Rupert Lowe's assembled to fight in this election. For Restore, it's about kicking the door of the establishment clean off its hinges and planting a flag that says we're here, we're serious, and that millions of Brits who've stopped voting because they're sick of being let down finally have somewhere to go. For Reform, it's the seat they need to prove they can take on Labour and win. Everyone's calling it a two-horse race, but there's one man who didn't get the memo, and he's got Nigel Farage rattled enough to go on camera and say this.
Restore are doing well here, and it could really help. It could really hurt you. What's Rupert Lowe got that it's appealing to some people over you? Thank you very much.
Elon Musk, thank you. I mean, most people here who say Restore, and by the way, it's not a very big percentage, most people here would not recognise a photograph of him. Right? This is stuff that pops up on their phones. That has been the problem with it. I do not believe for a moment it will last.
Elon Musk and a face nobody around here would even recognise. Does he really think anyone believes this drivel? Because going by his own body language, it doesn't even look like Farage believes it himself. And it shouldn't come as a surprise that he's so quick to have a dig at Elon Musk either. Musk called Farage controlled opposition after all. Sure, Musk has publicly backed Lowe, and when he retweets him, Lowe's message spreads to a wider audience. So what? We all know Farage will give his right arm for that, but the swipe doesn't even really land at all because Lowe has more followers on Facebook than he does on X. So is Mark Zuckerberg secretly pulling the strings as well? Where does it all end? But forget Elon Musk and forget social media follow accounts for just a second, because what Farage is really doing here is something we've already seen him do before. Dismiss Lowe and Restore Britain as a non-league side that makes a lot of noise in the stands, but can't quite cut it when the whistle blows, and is starting to sound a bit like a broken record, because not so long ago he said something very similar.
As far as Rupert Lowe is concerned, there will be some polling published later today that shows his recognition factor amongst members of the British public. It is not very high at all. And so a push poll that says 10% is utter rot. The party isn't even registered. He won't be on 1%. Anywhere, not even probably in Great Yarmouth. Thank you.
Lucky to get 1%, that's what Farage said before Great Yarmouth. But here's what actually happened. Restore Britain contested 10 seats, won them all, and it wasn't even close. With an average of 49% of the vote, they wiped the floor with everyone, including Reform. So much for splitting the vote. Farage wasn't just wrong, he'd never looked more out of touch. And now he's standing in Makerfield saying the exact same things about the exact same bloke. You'd think he would have learned by now. Well, he didn't. And neither did the rest of them, because while Farage and the media were busy demanding Rupert Lowe bow down and get out of the way, Lowe was quietly doing what he always does, building his volunteer army. An ocean of dark blue. Hundreds of Restore Britain activists who've travelled from up and down the country to knock on thousands of doors and deliver tens of thousands of leaflets this past weekend alone. Just one angry man on the internet who nobody would even recognise, and of course just Elon Musk. That's all Restore Britain is apparently. Well, the volunteer army that Lowe's assembled says otherwise. The polls doing the rounds have Restore at around 6, 7, 8%. Last time we were told 1% and they averaged 49. Now, I'm not saying that happens again here, but 8% feels like it's underselling what's actually happening on the ground. And judging by the sheer number of Restore campaigners out over this weekend, and judging by the hysteria coming out of GB News and Talk TV, which are both basically media arms of Reform, I think someone in Restore leadership has seen their internal doorstep returns and they're right to be worried. So let's entertain the idea for a second. Restore don't win Makerfield, but what if they get, say, 12, 17 or even like 22%? A new party in their first ever parliamentary contest, openly calling for deportations in the millions, a referendum on the death penalty, operating completely outside of everything British politics has accepted as normal since 1945, and they're pulling a fifth of the vote. The shockwaves that sends through Westminster would be enormous, because it exposes something Reform really don't want anyone saying out loud, that millions of people only vote for them because they've got nowhere else to go, not because they actually trust Farage or believe Reform will ever follow through. And if Restore proved the blueprint works in Makerfield, how many of those voters jump ship across the country? How many more councillors switch sides? Is this the beginning of the end for Reform's fake right nonsense? And does Farage already know it? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe if you're new. See you later.